Alright, so here I have a, well, what does it look like? Looks like a gold top, right? Now, untrained eye, most people would say, oh, that's a Les Paul. Or that's at least they'd know it's a gold top. It's got the baby belly arch top here. It's got some vintage looking knobs. It's got your scratch guard here, which can come off if you don't mind a little screw hole on here. Okay, it's got humbuckers, not P90s, so that might put it in your upper echelon kind of more modern LPs. And it's got your poker chip, which here rhythm and treble. There you go, kind of hear that. I've got my volume turned down on it. It also has some interesting inlays that are dragon kind of inlays, which I'll zoom in on here real quick. Alright. Has I'm not going to say these are abalone or whatever, or jade, they're, I don't know, probably some kind of plastic, but they're fancy inlays that look like a dragon kind of breathing smoke going on here, and some people might already know what this is or have called it out. This is an Oscar Schmidt by Washburn. Okay, so if you know the story, then you might know what's going on here. A Washburn, okay, to kind of tell their story a little bit, were not gobbled up. Okay, there's I don't know, company, U.S. Music Company or something like that. It's a different company. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised they're owned by Canada now. But they're the third leg in this whole mishmash of small guitar gobblers. So if you look at Fender, Fender took up several different companies. I think they took up Jackson and EVH and you know, lots of different companies. So if you buy a certain guitar, maybe you loved them back in the day, they might be owned by Fender. Like Gibson took up Kramer and lots of other ones. And you might want to look it up. I think Philip McKnight does a good video about who ate what, like which massive guitar company bought up the company that you probably like from the 80s or from the 90s or whatever. So, but some of the companies are still solid. Washburn did not get bought up by one of those other companies. They actually were part of I think the American Music or something like that. And so this is a Washburn, even though it's Oscar Schmidt. Oscar Schmidt does kind of budget guitars, and this is an archtop LP. Now, my first unpopular opinion of this episode, I think that's going to be part of every episode, is my unpopular opinions. But in the first unpopular opinion I'm going to throw out there today, that's my opinion, is that it's not a true LP unless it has an arch top, or what I call a 2-month baby belly. Okay, this guitar is not flat. Now, so there are the Studio Series LPs by Gibson or whoever, Epiphone. I think there's even a fake style one by Glary now. And the difference between that guitar and what I would consider a true Les Paul style guitar is that they're flat. The bodies are totally flat, completely. And I just can't deal with it. I would never want a Les Paul that doesn't have the arch top kind of shape here going on. And I have to see it. I have to see it on. Now the reason this guitar is here is I want to show it off an upgrade that I did to it, which is this bridge. Now this is your Tune-o-matic based on the Gibson kind of design. It stops the strings, and then the bridge here, which would be part of the you know, the Tune-o-matic bridge system, would have little kind of sharp, jaggy ridges popping up with a little divot cut down in it for the string to rest across the top. And then the string would go to the nut. So the 2 points of contact for your string are going to be down here, here, all the way to the nut. But my problem with the Tune-o-matic bridge, and something I think is kind of just flawed, an inherent flaw in the system of the Tune-o-matic bridge, is this connector here, where this connection where the string rides across the top of it. It's metal, it's harsh, it's flat and kind of jagged and sharp, and I think it inhibits sustain, and sometimes even can, you know, just mess with the overall sound, the tune, and everything. It's just not good. This is not a fake Tune-o-matic bridge. This is one I put on here, and it's actually got roller saddles on it, and it's a nice, heavy, clean, relatively high quality replacement. When I got it, I was positive and was saying, oh, this is going to be, you know, great. And I had this kind of, you know, positive idea that I'd get it, and then I'd just take the old bridge off and then slap this on there. But that did not happen. When I got this part here, the piece for the pins, the opening for the pins, which has these little, you know, adjustment bolts that push in on the pins, was way too small, meaning I had to use the pins that came with the bridge. Now you can buy this bridge with a different tailpiece here, and I didn't need it because the tailpiece on this is pretty good, so I figured I'm going to use the tailpiece I got and just get the bridge. And so that's all I got, and it came with the pins, of course. And so when that situation arises, you have to remove the original pins. When you remove the original pins, then you're dealing with a hole in the body of your guitar, and you have to fill it in and make new holes for the new pins. So I had to go through that process. I went ahead and took a, you know, flat piece of something and blocked off, got a hammer, probably a claw hammer or something, and got underneath that pin, slowly pulled the pin out, no damage, no chipping, anything like that. Then I got dowel rods that fit that exact size hole, and lucky enough I had them, and I cut them with a hacksaw, made sure they were nice and flat, and then pushed them down in there. Then I drilled new holes right in the centers of those dowel rods to fit the new pins that this bridge would fit down into. And once putting the new pins on, it was a perfect, super tight fit. I adjusted these bolts to perfect that, and now I have a major increase in sustain and clarity and better tuning. It completely transformed this instrument into a much higher quality guitar. Like immediately the guitar became one of my top 5. So whereas this guitar was a wall hanger, and when I bought it I thought, you know, it was probably going to be a wall hanger because it has the dragon inlays, and I got it because I always wanted a gold top, and immediately this guitar became that much better. And it's a player now. I mean, I can actually play this thing and be confident in it. Whereas before, I hated the bridge, and it just didn't sound right. It was tinny and scratchy, kind of tune. It didn't hold tune well. It just didn't feel right. It felt kind of chintzy and cheap and crappy. And so it was a crappy copy of the Tune-o-matic bridge that I was replacing when I did that. And so I'd recommend, if you get a cheap LP copy, go ahead and get one of these roller saddle bridges, or get a better bridge at least, and upgrade that, because it's going to change the instrument's sound immediately. And the bridge has so much to do with it. A bad bridge is going to create bad sound for your guitar, and a really good bridge can actually make a immense difference in the tonal clarity and quality of sound, and especially sustain and just everything. It's very, very important. Now, the two-pneumatic bridge combined with the weird sharp break angle neck of a Gibson and the, tuning stability problems and all that makes it kind of questionable whether the style is really valid with all of the the modern changes that have happened, where we get much better tuning and much better sustain and tonal quality. But it can't be denied that a well set up and a well maintained and a high quality, all of those parts for a Gibson makes a good sounding guitar. And I've played Gibson. I had a friend, and his dad had a super nice Gibson, and of course the dad always wished that the son played guitar, and I was best friends with his son. And so when I'd visit, his dad would get out this Gibson so that I would play, because I could play. And in the beginning there, I mostly sang. I was in Glee Club and show choir, and I performed live and went on tour with the school, and we did lock-ins and all kinds of practice and stuff. I was a musician all through school. So yeah, I knew when I heard that guitar, a well set up, well maintained, high quality Gibson, why people were looking for that sound. Now, these are not your trash microphonic pickups. The pickups that came with this Oscar Schmidt Washburn actually sound really, really good. They're kind of hot. I know the bridge pickup's hot. I measured the output, and I know that these are good hot pickups. One thing I don't like, if I'm going to nitpick on anything about this instrument, it's going to be this kind of warped, cheap plastic pickup rings that you get here. I want to replace these with ones that don't have this warped look. But on that note, I've actually seen expensive Gibsons with this same kind of warping happening on the plastic on the pickup ring. So that's just me and how I feel about that sound, or the look of these, as it is. So I'm not going to say that that it has anything really to do with anything. This is just looks. But I don't want this kind of warping look to the pickup ring. So I would take these out, and I would get some metal or some higher quality pickup rings that aren't going to warp at all, and just swap those out. Very simple. And other than that, I really don't want to do too much else, because I really like this. Now, I did the frets. These frets have been completely polished. They've had the whole thing, edges, level crown polish and everything. I think I did nut work on this, and I may go ahead and get better tuning machines one day, but I'm not saying they're 100% necessary. The break angle, I think, is more like an Epiphone, which is a shorter break angle, but it sounds good. And the way it sounds now is a world different with this bridge than what this guitar originally. When I originally got it, it hung on the wall, and I played it, and I did everything I could to try to get this guitar to sound good, and of course nothing really worked until I replaced the bridge. And once this bridge got replaced, this guitar changed into a player immediately. So it makes a big difference. Now, today's episode, though, is not really about this guitar. I just kind of started it up with this instrument. This was what I had out, and this was what I was playing. And when I play this guitar, it's one of those ones that might be, it doesn't really sound how it looks. So you can hear it's got a good sound. I think it has a good sound anyway. I'll probably do a hardware list so people can hear what I'm doing, because a lot of it's coming out my equipment. So you're not hearing, but I can tell you the sustain and the feel and everything changed dramatically. It was very much worth it to do that little change. It was more work, but it was worth it. Now here's the guitar that I'm talking about today. This is a custom Razorback. I built it from a kit, it was wood. And I noticed the headstock is different than some of the Razorbacks that I've seen. I had a strong impression though that this was, as close to a Dean blank that you could possibly get. And I love the paint job. When I made this many years ago, it's my first guitar build. It came with a black, super cheap, just junk bridge. And so I went ahead and kept the one usable part from it was the bar. Kept the black bar, swapped out the bridge for one that, although it was a licensed one, still had some heft to it. I would love to replace the bridge with a much better one, but that was the best cheap one that I had to put on it. And I had these decal sheets that were for the toys, where you can put the decals, stickers on your toys, to identify their little team that they're part of, and had these two giant stickers that were with them. And so I was like, what am I ever going to do with these two, gigantic stickers? So when I built this guitar, I had that light bulb go off above my head. Oh, I can use these stickers on this guitar. So I went ahead and put the stickers on there. That's where the two sticker parts came from. Up at the top is a sticker that's a combination of the two different factions. I don't know if that can even be seen. I'll show it later though. And there's, of course, like any build like this, there's a little bit of a story behind it. So I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to do a critical repair on this instrument in this episode, because it really needs fixed. There's something that really needs fixed about this guitar, and I'm going to deal with that. Alright, so so when I made this guitar, it was wood, and it was the first one I ever did. I went over it with lots of layers of paint and everything. I came up with this cool stripe design. It kind of is an S-wave of the different colors. It has this kind of pattern where the Decepticon purple color is the bottom, the Autobot red color is the top, and I kind of wondered if I should even put the stickers on it when I first made it, just because I loved how much the color looked just as it was. Now at the time, I was part of different forums and stuff like that, and I had seen this forum entry, because I pretty much always used Dragonfires for upgrade pickups. I loved that they were at least from the US and that you were buying from a US place, and I was under the impression that they were ordered through the US and they were custom pickups. They were really good ones. Okay, so I thought, hey, I want that very, best stuff for the price anyway. They weren't super expensive, and they said their output on the ads. They showed different, information about them, and they had lots of different ones. For instance, on my Schecter, I had a really nice Schecter that I got. The one stamped used guitar that I ever got, and I really loved it. It was white. I think it was a C6 or something like that, and I put gold bar pickups on it, gold skulls with ruby eyes, and then gold skull tuning machines on it from CB Giddy, the guitar just ended up looking totally amazing and playing and sounding amazing. So I've done a ton of of those upgrades with Dragonfire pickups. Now, someone said in a video or something, I was directed to a video on forum, and they said, "Oh well, you need to know the truth about Dragonfire pickups." And I'm thinking, oh great, oh great. So what's the truth? So I watched the video, and the guy says that they're just cheap, crappy Chinese pickups, and that they rebrand them. Okay, and I didn't believe it, and of course I checked some of my Dragonfires, and they're not the same. I had plenty. I mean, I have a plethora of cheap Chinese humbuckers and single coils and stuff, and when I compared them, they were never the same quality or look as the Dragonfires. So I didn't believe it. But in this case, I thought, okay, I'm going to build this custom guitar. I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. I'm going to give the guys suggestion a try. So I looked up, rather than going with Dragonfires, I went ahead and looked up cheap Invader style pickups that looked like Dragonfires. And I wanted a red one and a purple one, so I actually had to buy 2 sets. So I have some backup of these cheap Invader styles that are the opposites. There's a red bridge and then a purple neck pickup that I'm going to use in a future custom. Maybe I think I'm thinking about getting that glary that came out that kind of looks a little bit like a Pacer, and it's got wood grain, and you can get it black and you can get a blue one. They come with like a little 20-watt amp and stuff. I thought of getting that and putting these spare Invaders that I have in them for that extra custom in the future. But after I installed these pickups, the very first thing I noticed is they are not the same in any way, shape, or form as Dragonfires. They don't sound the same. They're not as hot. They're not as good. They're good. They're okay. And they were much, much cheaper. And you know, I figured when I first built this guitar that it was likely to be a wall hanger. And I'm not really one to desire a, huge, weird, spiky, wonky, heavy kind of Razorback guitar as a guitar to play. So when I bought this, I wanted the design because of the, shape. I wanted, I had this concept in my mind of a Transformers guitar. So this fit perfectly. But I never built this with the intention of having this be some kind of, playing instrument that I was going to use all the time and whatever. So that's why I felt that it was kind of safe to test out this guy's rant about Dragonfires being the same as some of these cheap Chinese knockoffs, and these are not. They do look like Invaders. They do have the hex tops. So in theory, you could adjust your pole pieces using the hex tops to change the sound if you wanted to, which I've never seen any reason to do that. They don't look bad, and they don't really sound bad, but I know that Dragonfires are better than these, and these are much, much cheaper. Now, the repair that I need to do, because recently I had this down to dust and to clean and to check it out, and a couple of the problems with the guitar. One problem that it has is the knobs. Now, I made these knobs out of actual Transformers heads. So this is a real G1 from the 80s Optimus Prime head. And I went ahead and drilled into the back of the head to make it fit on a pole, on a little, on a pot shaft. But the pot shaft's bent and then broke, and so I ended up with this kind of nub of a pot shaft that it barely fits onto. Okay. So I went in, and when I checked this Jazz one, which this is actually a 3D printed replacement Jazz face, the face of it broke off of it. The face broke off, and so the back of the head was still stuck on the pole piece. And me doing something truly stupid that, is even beyond me in levels of stupidity, went in there with a tube of super glue to just repair this head. And my plan was, okay, I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of super glue on the back of this head and then just stick the head back on there and it'll be okay. No problem. And when I squeezed the super glue tube, it shot out on the guitar. And so I had to try to get rid of some of the super glue. I got rid of probably, 85% of the super glue. But I didn't like what it ended up looking. It took some of the shine that I'd achieved off of the guitar. So how am I going to fix this problem? Because it went here. And also, improve the instrument's look by doing it. So, I mean, it's got to be fixed. I can't have it lose that strip of shine right there, even though no one would likely ever notice it or even know the difference. And my way of fixing it is to add another sticker. So I went ahead and bought this big Transformers sticker, and I'm going to put it right here on the instrument. So right here it's going to say Transformers right above these pots, right above the knobs. And eventually what I'm going to do is take these heads off, replace the pots with better pots so that the little shafts on the pots won't be broken like they are, and then refit the heads onto them more carefully so that you have a better stability of tuning. I might replace this jazz head at the time because it still isn't 100% perfect. And it got glue on the shaft, so this won't turn. Now, even though I don't ever adjust this knob won't turn right now. So even though this is for all intents and purposes, a decoration, a wall hanger, it does play well. And I did all the work on the neck, complete level crown polished edges. I've treated the neck, with lemon oil and stuff. And I did this so that it would work. It also has Schecter tuning machines on the headstock, which hold tune. Of course, it's a locking tremolo. So once you get it in tune, you're locking down on the top pieces. And these top pieces are not necessarily the highest quality. This bridge, although it is not the cheapest, crappiest Floyd Rose I've ever seen, it is definitely not, one I would want to keep. It's okay. Of all of the cheap, crappy Floyd Rose that are that bad, this is the best one I've had so far. And it does say on it, licensed under Floyd Rose patent, but it doesn't have the ultimate cheapness that I've seen with so many of them. It has the ridges on the sides of the bolts, which is a sign that it's higher quality. If you, like I've said in the last video, if you get soft paint kind of feeling on the back of these bolts, they're junk, and they're going to lose the grippiness back there and wear away. And then this, where it locks down on the string at the locking part of the bridge, that's going to be totally ruined. I guess the cheapest thing you could do is replace the bolts and hope they work. But in reality, you're just going to need to replace the bridge. And eventually I would want to put better pins, and if not better pins, at least a better bridge too. So it would either be a better bridge with better pins, or at the very least a better bridge that's going to line right up with these pins and be higher quality. I don't think it's in tune anymore at all, from hanging on the wall and temperatures changing and stuff. And I've noticed that my theory, which is not really a theory, it's totally true, we had a dip in temperature and it got colder and drier, and one of the guitars I've been working on had the little edges of the frets pop out, so I'm going to have to go in there and do that work to get those fret ends softened and filed down. But I mean, you can feel it. If my lips are cracking and my lips are dry and my nose is shut down, it's really dry and cold, then I'm pretty sure, my frets are also going to be popping out and getting nasty. So it happens. So I'm going to put this sticker on here, and I'm hoping it'll work okay. I mean, this could be a disaster, but I like that right there. There's really not many ways I could go about this. The edge of this, as it closes down on the body, kind of prohibits the edge of the sticker from going any further than about right there. The level of the side here, as it comes up towards the working parts of the bridge, keeps this from being any closer here. To balance out the letters and the words, I'm going to want it to be over the knobs themselves. So there's really pretty much only one good place for that to go. And once it's on there, then you're going to know without any question, hey, that's a Transformers guitar. If the Autobot Slave brand and the Decepticon, Elite War badge thing didn't just give it away completely, you'll know it's a Transformers guitar. So yeah, and then I'm going to play it a little bit. I'll probably tune it up off camera and then play it just a tiny bit. So yeah, maybe that was a bit of hair of clickbait there, just saying that this was a critical repair. Someone might think, oh, that's not a critical repair, but it is. If you've got a wall hanger guitar, and your wall hanger guitar really needs to look good, then something bad happening like that can really affect it. I picked this up online. Pretty sure it was printed, and I really don't want this to mess up. I'm looking and I can see where the edges of the decal are, but they're really not deep. So yeah, I want it to be good. And it looks like, I think this was somebody's paper that they printed this on. And when I got it, it took a while to get here. The guy didn't give me very much, he didn't give me the shipping information. And so I waited a while and I said, hey, can you give me a tracking number for that sticker? Because I looked it up and it should have had a tracking number. And then he said, oh, I don't give out tracking numbers. And even though when I looked up the shipping style, it said that they have tracking numbers. And then the next day it got to me. So, of course, it wasn't a problem. It wasn't going to be a problem. All right. There we go. And it feels like a very high quality sticker. No air, no bubbles, nothing funny going on. It's not cheap feeling. Like this one here, when I put it on, had the slightest little bit of an edge to it that I kind of want to work out, but it's just there no matter what. And of course this has a chrome backing, and then this has a white backing, so that will always contrast. I don't care. I mean, it might as well contrast. So there we have it. That's a nice clean brand right there. I think it looks great. And it's right over the tops. They got Soundwave's head there. And I tried to pick out ones that maybe related more to sound. His name is Jazz. Okay. Optimus Prime, well, even in the story, he actually hates when Blaster plays loud music, so maybe he's the least fitting of these three different heads. But Soundwave, of course, is a music playing device. He's a little spy tape recorder robot. And so yeah, I wanted this for my little Transformers poster, and it hangs right in front of it as a awesome child of the 80s badge there. So yeah, next up I guess I'll tune it up and give it some play. So yeah, it's fixed. The critical repair is done. I think it looks a million times better. It's got that look, and it kind of fits right in there. One of a kind. I hope you enjoyed this much shorter episode of In Bed with Guitars.